I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's a filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch. The next song is A Perfect Circle. The name of the song is Kindred. This is from SGS. SGS says this song is from A Perfect Circle and was featured on Sasanta EPPP. Maynard is turning 60 this year, and to celebrate,
Holy shit.
he is touring with members from A Perfect Circle, Pulsifer and Primus. They're all taking turns playing songs from all 3 bands.
That's crazy.
Before the tour kicked off, they released an EP with a new song from all 3 bands. All right, well, let's check it out.
Wow.
A Perfect Circle, Kindred.
Father-daughter teaching moments.
Interesting. Yeah.
How do I tell my child both inner and actual? Her feline friend was taken. kindred connections. Such wasting time. Cross those bridges. Fear no bridges. Kindred spirits swaying just beyond. Cross those bridges. Fear no bridges.
Wow.
Whoa! What do you guys think? What do you think?
Ooh,
looks, like
boy.
looks like it was touching you.
Yeah. Well, this song was pretty interesting because one, the way that he starts out the song. So, there, you know, I'm not going to go into the details of it, but there was a situation that popped off where, you know, our kids, you know, could have used a little bit more wisdom. And, you know, I sat down to talk with them, but I just felt like the conversation was lacking. I felt like I said everything that I needed to say, but sometimes I think I'm more on the like, you have to be more wise. And I'm thinking about all of the things.
I think you should gender this situation so people understand what you're talking
Oh, okay. Specifically when I'm talking to my daughters. So there's situations that, you know, that I understand as a woman based off of the time that I've been on this planet and experiences that I've had and experiences that my friends have had and women around me have had. So there's certain things that you know and you understand about the world and you don't want to have to tell your kids because, you know, they can be sort of like, yay, everything's, and you know, you kind of remember being, well, I don't actually remember being like that, but I'm sure that that's a wonderful place to be in where you feel like the world is completely safe and you can just kind of like, so having those conversations with them where you're like, this is the reality though, and these things can happen and these things do happen, is hard. And so I had the conversation. I feel like I communicated the wisdom aspect of it, but I felt like that the conversation was sort of floating without a foundation. And I came in, kind of updated Vinny, and then he was like, bring her in here. And so, you know, she comes in and she was like, because she had kind of fucked up, you know? And so she was like, coming in a little bit like, what's Dad gonna say? And then, like, you know, they're both kind of just sitting on the floor talking to each other. And the conversation was so beautiful. And I was like, you know, like he gave her the wisdom of a father who deeply loves his daughter. And there was the wisdom, like it affirmed her beauty. He affirmed her strength, and he affirmed her potential for more wisdom and women's intuition, and confirmed his protection over her. And like as a mom and as a wife, like I was prepping the stream, you know, and I could hear this whole conversation taking place, and I was like, damn, like people don't understand, like when you pick a spouse and you pick the person, like the way that he was caring for her, like she doesn't know like how special and how rare that conversation was that she was getting with him, and him saying like, I'm gonna protect you no matter what. Like this is like, you've always been like that with her. But it was so beautiful, just like start to finish, like the care, the concern, the like masculine side of it, but like the father side. And it was just, so of course when the song starts, rare father-daughter teaching moments.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my word, like that's so crazy.
Yeah, that was kind of, we haven't had a conversation like that in a while. And you know, she just turned 17. But she's still such a pure, something really childlike about her.
Yeah.
And we've got good genetics in our family.
What can be said?
And so I just had to, situation, and I had to explain it. It really, I mean, it sucks, but I had to explain the mindset of men in general. And it's a tough balance because I don't want any of my kids walking around in fear, but I want to make sure my girls are ready when they go out into the world and, you know, whatever. And it doesn't matter if you're in a good financial situation. If you have a terrible self-perception, you don't know where you are, where you're going, all the money in the world won't do anything. And so on the one hand, I'm like working for my daughters for sure. But on the other hand, like there's other things that you have to impart in them, especially it's like, okay, I've got a beautiful daughter. She's amazingly developed, but she's naive about the mentality of men. And the other thing is like, she's 17. She still thinks she's a kid. She'll still call people adults.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you remember when you stopped using that term for older people. I don't know when it was,
Yeah.
but that was when you had the perception that you were one of them.
Yeah.
She still uses phrases like that. So I know how dudes operate. I know how they think. And so I was just trying to give her as much intel as possible. And I hear what you're saying about how the conversation impacted you. I don't think it's particularly virtuous for a father to say, the Bible never blames you for men's lust issues. Men's lust issues are their issues. And I don't give a fuck if you're walking around the street naked. Nobody has the right to objectify you or violate you. And she knows that if somebody tried to do that, I'm not going to ask her what she was wearing. So you always react when those conversations happen, but I think there's been millions of dads who have that conversation with their daughters.
There's been millions of girls who have never heard that.
I agree. I don't think that conversation was particularly like special or unique.
I think that
I think it's just something that
should be regular.
Come of age. Well, what I'm saying is I think it's regular. Is what I'm saying.
None of the girls not one girl I've ever been around ever had a conversation like that with their dads.
How could you possibly
Because we
know?
were always talking about stuff like that. What are your parents like? What are your parents like? And I had the most supportive parents out of all of them.
Yeah, but you think she'd bring up that conversation if they said, how are your parents?
I think that if we were asking, so what is your dad like? I think that what she would say would communicate that there are conversations and that, you know, how you are, especially when you're talking about protection. You know, one girl was told, the dad said, you shouldn't have worn that and put yourself in that situation. That's what the dad said to the daughter. And he just kept going about his work. He didn't stop to protect her, to check on her. I mean, she was really shook up. She got stalked all the way running, and she was 15. So yeah, I mean, I think that what you hope that everybody's doing, I just think that there's a giant gap in what's happening. And I think that, you know, the ubiquitous nature of pornography makes it so that way fathers can't affirm their daughters in their beauty and their growth. Like you said, I'm proud of you. Like you never be, you know what I mean? Like just the stuff that you were saying, it was just such a beautiful conversation. And I just think, I mean, even Maynard, he's having a conversation with his daughter and he's calling it like a rare father-daughter teaching. Maybe he's saying rare because of what they're about to discuss, because how often does that necessarily happen? But no, none of the girls, if any of the girls had any sort of relationship with their parents, it was more with their mothers. And I immediately, I thought of girls from our channel. I thought of girls that I've had conversations with. And I just in that moment, I felt like, I hate it when I split inside, but I split into two, there was this celebration, of your moment with her and what that was and how impactful even it was with her. I circled around with her and you could tell it was a big moment for her. everything that you said and like the compliments and everything that you did with her, like that was just a really special, that she's going to remember that moment. Like that's one of those, that's one that she's going to look back on. It maybe seems like should be regular, but then there was the other side of me that was like, it broke for the people that I know don't have that. Like I was 25 years old the first time that I heard, and it was from you, saying nobody has any right to objectify you and none of it is your fault. Because that day something had happened where some guy was saying some shit and there was somebody there, there was multiple people there that should have said something. I mean, I said something myself, but they said, well, you shouldn't have been X, Y, and Z. And I was dressed, in my opinion, very regular. There was nothing, it wasn't like that Christmas outfit. You know what I mean? But you said to me, and like, I left the table when you said it to me because I'd never heard anything like that before. And it was so foreign to me. So no, and I am so grateful, like as a mother and a wife, that my kids have somebody like you in their lives, because I used to think, well, I'll be able to teach my kids and I'm going to tell them and I'm going to prepare them but I recognized even in the conversation, because like I said, I talked to her first, but I recognized that I said there was I felt a lacking in the conversation, and it felt like it was free floating. And like when you came in, like I felt like you just like put the stakes down in the ground on everything, and you just like gave this, like, you not just put the stakes down, but you packed the sand, like everything, the foundation became firm. And I could see that it like with me, like I felt like she like, okay, her eyes are a little bit more open now. Good. And then with you, it was like, okay, but we're good. And I just think that that's not something that everybody has. And I mean, there's women in the chat. Have you guys had those experiences where you had somebody, whether it was your father or another positive male figure in your life, that affirmed your beauty and confirmed your protection, gave you wisdom, gave you love, empowered you on your own like intuition as a woman, like at any age of your life? Like,
yeah, I'm just trying to listen to you because I don't have your experiences, and honestly, I don't have the experiences of the women in the forum. So when you say nobody's having these conversations, blah blah, it's just really, really hard for me to see it that way. Just because I talk to dudes, like girl dads, like that's a thing. Like dudes are like Kobe, when Kobe had another girl and somebody said, man, don't you like one of these days you got to keep going till you get a boy. And Kobe was like, no, I'm straight. Like, I know that there are bad dads and things like that in the world, but I'm like, I don't know. I just think.
Miss Mudd says she had her older brother and her first husband and her husband now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's there, but you came up in a horrible, horrible subculture. So I see where you're coming from. Even when you talk about your friends or whatever, you had a very curated group of friends. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had that group and then you had your Bible college group. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, I think there's lots of dudes out there who worry for their daughters, worry for their bodily integrity, worry for the opportunities they're going to have in life. Like, yeah, the minute I found out I'm having a girl, like, that was another, like, real change in my mindset. Because like Big said, get my daughter this college plan so she don't need no man. That's a man saying that about his daughter. It's because we know how we are. I said, listen, honey, that guy is going to have to prove to you over a span of time that he's trustworthy. Mm-hmm. But until then, he's a predator. Mm-hmm. That's how you should look at it. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Look, you can have a Rottweiler, okay? And all of us know, yeah, Rottweiler could be a pet, but we all know, like, that's a fucking wild animal at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So don't get too comfortable. Mm-hmm. That's a black thing. I don't know. Maybe white people, y'all be kissing your dogs on the mouth and shit. But for us, it's like, yo, listen, still, that's a wild animal. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, listen, we're the apex predator on the planet, Homo sapiens are. And among Homo sapiens, we're the apex predator. And so I'm not saying this to dehumanize men. I'm a man. But yeah, I told my daughter, like, hell no, that guy's got to trust. We need some time. Because I said, we want to see how he deals with disagreement. Mm-hmm. We want to see how he deals with disappointment. We want to see how he, deals with his mom, how he deals with women in authority. So it's going to take you a lot of time. But I'm not one of those, like, I'm going to be on the porch with the shotgun guys. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to do that. My thought process is I'm going to go and get my daughters as much intel as I possibly can get them and communicate to them that they're 100,000% unconditionally supported. Yep. I got one daughter. We'll be walking and talking sometime. I'll just look at her and say, listen, wherever you find yourself, whatever it is, call me immediately. Call me before you call the police. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not going to get into particulars, but Shorty, I fully expect to get one of those calls, and I fully expect to have to get on a plane and get Shorty, whatever, but those are my girls. And so I told her, I said, listen, you can go outside, buck ass naked, like, nobody can fuck with you, nobody can say nothing to you, and if they do, good, we're all going to Allah. All is going to go to Allah, he'll sort it out. Like, we're going to live together and die together over this shit. And so, shout out to all the dads everywhere. Like, I don't want to invalidate what you're saying, because we've had multiple conversations like this, and
I think for me, like, my reality is never going to change about it. Like, I didn't hear anything like that until I was 24 years old or 25 years old, and painful experiences behind me. So I guess maybe I read that into other people, but I'm never going to see that situation any differently, and I'm always going to celebrate every time I see you do that with our girls, because I think that's life-changing for people to have that information when they're young, and to know, like, there's like, the facts are, if you're affirming her beauty, and she, like, when girls have, like, that need to be, like, affirmed with it, like, and then it's only coming from, dangerous sources, and you can't tell the difference because you're young and you're naive and, you've lived a sheltered life or whatever. It's just, I'm always gonna celebrate it. I'm always gonna celebrate it. Any of the conversations that you have with the kids, like, when you talk to them, it's always so balanced, and it's so, like, it doesn't carry with it elements of fear, where it's just like, this is wisdom, and you know what I mean? Like, I used to think, like, when you used to do it before, like, before you and I were together, I'd see you with your kids. Like, I remember one time I, like, took a picture of it because it was so crazy to me, like, that you got down. It was Johan. He did some fuckery again. And, you got down, like, on his level, and you were, like, explaining it to him. And it was, like, you took so much time, and everybody, we're all, like, waiting. And you were, like, right down in his level, and you took the time in the parking garage. And you just explained, probably something that you've had to tell him a million times. But, like, you took the time with him, and you explained it to him again. And I tell the kids all the time, I'm like, you guys don't realize how rare what you have is. Like, what you have is beautiful with your father, and the way that he, like, takes that time and talks to you guys, like, it's really, like, it's really special. And they're like, yeah, like, I think that they're like, Mom, but
I like their attitude on it.
Yeah, I mean, and I understand that, but I'm never going to get used to that. It's never going to be normal to me. Like, we've been together, and it's not normal to me. Like, anytime that you take any time and you sit down and you talk with them and you get on their level, whether they're 2 years old or they're whatever, teenagers, it doesn't matter. It all looks the same. Or it's all coming from the same heart. Maybe all the conversations don't look the same, but yeah, for sure. Like,
yeah, no, it's definitely coming from the same place in my heart, for sure. Especially for the girls. Yeah. All right. Good song.
But the song itself was like, I mean, it wasn't. There we go.
Battery died.
Yeah, that must have been what was happening to Rumble. I kept trying to fix it. Maybe we can trade this one for a smidge. So yeah, the song itself was about like the pet dying.
Look how it changed.
I know.
Yeah,
The
it was
pet
about
dying.
the pet dying, and it was. I thought that was very brave of him.
Okay, why?
Well, because to me, I was like, "Are you serious? Like, this is about a cat? Like, her cat died? You made a whole song about a cat?"
You know, honey, sometimes, okay, this one, I really believe, like, you had some very tragic experiences at a young age. So stuff like the loss of a pet is not going to affect you the same as somebody who doesn't. Like, our losses at first were the losses of pets. And it does, like, can you pull up the lyrics? He said he talked about the bridges situation, and I really liked that. So, I mean, long story short, we had a dog when we were kids, and I friggin' loved this dog. Well, my parents, I thought the dog was hugging me. He was humping my leg, and my parents were like, my dad would like get so like angry. I was like, why is he getting so angry with the dog just trying to hug me? And then they eventually got rid of the dog. We weren't doing a super good job taking care of the dog either, because I mean we were little kids. So taking it out into the bitter cold winters of Maine, so it could, you know, it just, we weren't doing good taking care of it. We needed more, at least parental help with it, and my parents were too busy doing the things that they were doing with work and whatever to do that. So they got rid of this dog. I was so broken up over it. Literally, at this age, I still have that pain in my heart when I think about that dog. And my mom wrote this song, which I don't know if she thought it was going to help, but it was actually, you know, like the box situation, how I feel like that. She made this like really sad song singing about the dog, and I hated it. And I told myself I'm never going to love anything to that degree ever again. And
Really?
then, yep.
Whoa.
And then my sister got a cat, and I was like, okay, well the cat is different because my sister's taking care of the cat. So she's going to make sure. My sister was like on friggin' point with something. If she wanted it, she was not going to let that stuff slip. Me, it didn't matter if I wanted something because I wanted that friggin' dog, but I was just too, you know, like not focused enough to take care of it and do what was necessary. I don't know, like sense of responsibility. I just didn't have it. So anyway, she was like that. So I was like, okay, then I can love this cat because the cat's not going anywhere. She's going to take care of it. I love the fuck out of that cat. And then our neighbor friggin' poisoned it with aspirin in ground beef and killed it. And I searched the neighborhood for that cat, not knowing where it was. And I smelt this horrible smell of death by his house, by his trash can. And I was like, I wonder if that's my cat. Not my cat, but my sister's cat. And we would call this cat, like this cat came on command. We taught it to like, you'd call it and you'd hear its little bell coming from way across the neighborhood. And so I called every night, which I think is part of the reason why I don't like that time at dusk, because I would call the cat all day long. And then when it got to that point, I was like, it's another night. He's not coming back. Ugh, look, I still feel emotional about it. So that cat, I would like call for this cat, sing for this cat, everything. The cat never came back. Oh, this is so weird. It's a cat. And then I got introduced to the song from the Titanic.
Oh God.
And then I would be out there like singing this song by myself. It was super, super depressing. Then I'm like, okay, I'm never going to do that again. Then we got a guinea pig or a hamster or something, this little guy. And I was like, okay, well, this is going to be good. This thing's not going to die. This thing's going to be safe. The neighbor's not going to get it. So this thing is safe to love. Because after the cat, I was like, I'm never going to love a cat again like that. And I never did. I never got feelings for a cat like that again. Then, so the same thing happened with this fucking guinea pig. And that thing died too. It escaped from its cage. And the first time it escaped, I searched everywhere and I found it. And it was almost dead, but we brought it back to life. It was fine. But then his name was Dozy. He used to fall asleep all the time when we hold it. Anyway, he died. He got out. We couldn't find him, and we didn't find him till he was gone, dead. So we made like this little coffin for him, and we buried him again. It was dark. It was cold. Winter was coming. And I was so depressed at the idea that he was in the ground in that condition And so that was it for me. I was like, I'm never gonna love anything or anyone like this again. Like my parents, I already love them. What can I do? But after that, I'm not gonna do that. So I think like when he talked about the bridges thing, that was like really significant because while I don't think that I'm at that place that he's talking about, do you have the lyrics up?
Yeah, it's right here.
Right there. So he said, so he gives her the lessons, like they're talking about it. And then at the end, he said, fear of pain from us has us avoiding bridges. Kindred connections, such waste in time, just beyond cross that bridges, fear no bridges. And this is like coupled, oh my gosh, I'm doing so much talking. So I crossed a little footbridge with my kids, and Orion was terrified that, you know, like something was going to happen. And so he was like, Reza, don't go to the edge. Reza. He was very, very worried for Reza. And I was explaining to him like how to look for bridge safety and stuff like that. But like that idea of like the fear of crossing a bridge, and I think what he's talking about is like you're afraid of what's going to happen, like if you do that again and you have to lose again. But there are kindred connections on the other side of the bridge. So, you know, I think like for myself personally, I spent a lot of time hiding myself because I'm just afraid of connections that would end up ending in loss. So I thought that the song was powerful, and I thought it was meaningful because I think that some kids, like that's their kind of start with loss as pets, and then it becomes family members or, you know, divorces or whatever, you know, and those things are difficult. But I do think that if you keep yourself on the one side of the bridge so afraid of what loss could happen on the other side, you do miss out on super important and valuable relationships that you could have. You know, there are some people on this channel that like I have been unable to like cut across the bridge to for one reason or another. But every time that I like send my voice across the bridge and they send their voice back, I'm like, hey, that's a cool person. I really like them, but I can't seem to. Anyway, I think the song was important, and yeah, and I like how you are with our kids. Your turn.
Okay. You did great. It's a silent count for me.
Same here.
We'll be back on the other side of the break. Good God. Shout out to James, Minter, James Keenan. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Other side of the break.